Hi, my name is Jason Hall. I've been in international admissions, marketing, and recruitment for about 10 years, and I've seen thousands of personal statements or letters of intent. And so today I'm going to show you how to write one, tell you why it's important, and also tell you about different pitfalls to look out for. So things that we see that we just don't like to see in statements of intent. So first of all, a statement of intent is the same exact thing as a letter of purpose or statement of purpose. It's a letter from you to the university explaining why the university should let you in and why you should be admitted to a specific program. So that's called a statement of intent most of the time. So if you've ever applied for a job, most of the time I would imagine that you wrote a cover letter. So the statement of intent is exactly the same as a cover letter, but instead of trying to talk your way into getting in a job, it's trying to talk your way into getting admitted to a university. So this is really, really important because universities, especially nowadays, they look for a couple things when determining admissions. Can you do well in the classroom? And personality-wise, are you a good fit for their program? So they want to make sure that you're a good fit. So personality-wise, try to match it to whichever school you're applying for. So if you're applying for Harvard, professional, esteemed, highly credible, make sure that it packs a punch. If it's a normal school, like let's say Oregon State University, DePaul University, Hawaii Pacific University, try to convey that yes, you are professional, you're good, but also you're very well-rounded and you contribute a lot and you have a strong background. So make sure that the messaging matches the school that you're going for. And honestly, most schools don't want to see, oh, I'm the best thing ever. We don't want to see that. We want to know the real story behind you. So I'm going to show you exactly how to write that. So this might be a longer video. You may have to pause it. You may have to rewatch it a couple times, but I'm actually going to show you the process on how to write one. So I'm going to actually write one with you. So let me dive right into this and share my screen. So you should be seeing a fresh new Word doc. So here's how we're going to write it. So first of all, put the date. So date, as put, a little coding language, a couple spaces. So here is the first recommendation. We don't want to see Dear University. And we don't want to see Dear Sir, Madam. Like, we don't want to see that. What we want to see is Dear Admissions Committee for the Masters of Engineering at University X. So it might be kind of longer. That's fine. You could even shorten it to Dear Admissions Committee or Dear University X. Either one of those would work. So just to keep it short and cool, we'll have Dear Admissions Committee. So here's, we'll write, let's write Joe Smith. We're gonna be writing a statement of intent for Joe Smith. So Dear Admissions Committee, and I recommend having a similar flow for yours. So what you're gonna want is an introduction. So in this, you're gonna want to explain your backstory, why you're cool, what sets you apart, what you bring to the table besides being a qualified candidate on paper, looking at your transcripts and your resume. And possibly even your scores, your GMAT, GRE, SAT, ACT, or English scores, IELTS, TOEFL, IBT, whatever. So I recommend this flow. Introduction, why that school, plan after graduation. So this is just the overarching theme or overarching flow. So single spaced, 1 to 2 pages. So let's dive into the introduction. Your backstory is going to be unique to you. So if you grew up in, say, Hyderabad, India, cool. If you grew up in Seoul, South Korea, That's awesome as well. Like whatever your story is, make it unique to you. And so this is really where you share your story, your background. So universities, we like to see that you actually do have a personality and that you do have a background. So my name is Joe Smith, and I am applying for the master's in engineering. Tell you what, just to be fun, we'll say mechanical engineering at University X. Be sure to put the name of the university. We don't like to see at your esteemed university, at your prestigious institution. That's very generic. So think of, when you write this, think of it as a love letter. Do you want to see, dear lover? Womp womp. That's not specific. That could be written to anybody. Like they could have written it to their ex for all you know. So write it specific to that university. So make sure that you drop the name of the university a lot. My name is Joe Smith, and I'm applying for the Master's in Mechanical Engineering at University X. It's always, some professional writers will say, right, it is, instead of like never using the apostrophe. Sure. So it, or it has always been my dream to study at your university. Now here's where it's okay to say your university because you already dropped the name. At your university because of its reputation and the outcome of its graduates. I'm from a small town out south of Seoul, Korea, called, I'll put Gwangju. Gwangju is a cool city in South Korea. So I'm from a small town, South Korea, called Gwangju. Ever since I was a kid, I've had a dream of studying robotics and hope to be a robotics engineer in the future. Okay, so nice and simple, clear as day, says what you hope to do. So nice and simple. So now this next paragraph, staying within the section, this is where it really, this is where you could dive into some personal stuff. Don't get too deep into personal stuff, but what we do recommend is stay focused on the program itself. Stay focused on what you contribute. Sometimes students will play what we call a mercy card. This is where they come from a poor family, they come from a single parent family, they grew up with a learning disability, some challenge from their youth. Those are great, but they don't help students pass classes. And so if you do mention one of those, be sure to pair it with the lessons learned, why you kick butt after that experience. So I'll write an example of it. So I grew up in a single parent family after my father passed away when I was just 6 years old. I am the oldest child, and I had to help my mother raise my siblings. Okay, see? So you're not dwelling on it, you're just really briefly mentioning the sad part. So then this is where you write how that makes you kick butt. This made me grow up quickly and really learn how to oversee projects like everyday life. I also learned the value of commitment to a job and the value of a good education. Okay, so nice and simple. Explaining the sad part, but then again, talking about how it helps you kick butt. So you set the stage, told a little bit about yourself. So why is that school? So now you dive into it. Being a robotics engineer has always been a dream of mine. Korea is known for robotics, and I hope to further develop the use of robots in everyday life. I just realized I use everyday life now twice. So you're explaining what you hope to accomplish. Now this is where you dive into University X. Has a fantastic robotics program, which I feel is the best fit out of any program in the world. Yes, you can say stuff like that. Out of every university in the world, this is the one I want. Like that, that's perfectly fine, fine to say. But here's what you do. Take it to the next step. Show that you did your research. So now you could say, I'm deeply impressed with the research done at University X, especially by Professor Charles Lee. His recent discoveries, his recent innovations in robotics, caring for the elderly. I'm making all this up just so you know. Caring for the elderly really inspired me and is pushing the industry in the direction it should go. So what I mean by take it to the next step is do some research, figure out what the heck they do that you like. If it's a specific professor who's doing the research, awesome, mention that. If it's a company that they partner with, mention that. So for sticking with mechanical engineering and robotics, let's say they work with Intel up in Portland, Oregon, and they're developing robots. Awesome, stick with it, put that in there. Say, I love that your university has a strong relationship with Intel and together partnering to make robotics. Awesome. But then you could also integrate with your own culture what makes that special. So for example, let's say you're from Japan. Right now they're using a lot of robotics to clean up natural disasters. And so you could talk about that, how you want to help use robotics to clean up natural disasters. So tell a really good story and keep it cohesive, keep it straight. So then after graduation, this is where you could talk about after graduation, I hope to graduate in robotics, possibly go on for a master's in robotics as well. But then I want to work at Intel and represent your university well as we develop further robotics technologies. Or let's say you want to be a teacher. I hope to go become a teacher in the school system. What universities want to make sure is that you have a plan. We want to know that this is where you are now. And again, tell your story, tell us where you are now. Help us see where it is that you want to go, and that the university will help you go from here to here. So we want to make sure that you have a plan. So tell that story. So I'll go ahead and write this. You don't have to watch it. This document will be available for download with a link in the description. But I do want to talk about a couple quick pitfalls. We already addressed a couple. Dear Sir, Madame. Yeah, don't write that. Like, that just sounds cheesy. Your esteemed university, or your prestigious university. We hear that quite a bit. And again, that just sounds very, very cookie cutter. So we want to hear that you say the name of the university, because what we see happen is people will just make templated statements of intent or letters of intent. So they'll just be a template, and they'll use that for every school that they're applying to. Yeah, that's not going to cut it. That's very generic. And the schools that will accept that are the schools that you don't really want to get into. So if it is a good school of value, yeah, you write that statement of intent specific to that school. Just like dating someone or pursuing someone romantically, yeah, write them a letter specific to them. If I have brown eyes, if I have a letter and somehow it's templated and it talks about my blue eyes, yeah, that's going to be denial. And so the last thing you want is for some slip up like that to cost you admissions into a school that you really want. At the end, yours truly. Let me stop sharing my screen. At the end, how do you close it? Don't say yours truly. Yours truly just sounds very, very cheesy. So yours truly is not a good way. Say best wishes, kind regards, thanks always. Some even salutations is better than yours truly, because yours truly kind of has a romantic connotation to it, kind of a romantic feel to it. And in an academic setting, that just feels weird. And so don't say yours truly. Which I've even seen professors write yours truly, and it just feels weird. So don't write yours truly. Actually, I do have one more recommendation that I want to show you. So best always, Joe Smith. If you have a GIF of your signature, put that in here. It adds a little bit to the classiness. Also, always save as a PDF and send a PDF. It just makes it a little bit more professional. So put a signature, save as a PDF instead of a Word document. Feels a little bit more professional. But I want to talk about the closing statement. So you got a bunch of stuff up here after graduation, your plan. So then a good closing sentence. So you have to put on your sales hat here for a little bit. Start thinking like a sales, like this is a sales pitch. Like, hey, I'm an awesome student. You want me in your program. Here's why I'm awesome. Then the closing pitch. Say, I look forward to any conversation that can strengthen my candidacy for admissions. So you want to close it something like that, like, hey, I'm good, I'm strong, but if you ever want to have a conversation, let me know. Like, that's how you want to close it. So I look forward to conversations that can strengthen my candidacy. If you have any questions that I can clarify, my dream about studying at University X, please let me know. Or I welcome the opportunity of further discussing my candidacy at University X. So all these, don't write all three of these, just so you know. I'm bringing these up as examples of what to write right before best always, best wishes, salutations, whatever. Always close with a strong paragraph, because I can't tell you how many statements of intent I read where it kind of just dropped off a cliff right at the end. And so make sure that it tells a good story. Again, 1 to 2 pages in length, single spaced. Beyond that, it feels like you're just rambling. So keep it short, keep it sweet. If you are an international student, when it comes to the language, make sure that English is really, really good, and make sure it matches your English ability. So if you have a high English score, like a 7.0 IELTS or a 100 IBT TOEFL, make sure it's well written in perfect English. If you have a 5.0 IELTS, let's say you're applying for a pathway program or a community college or a university that just doesn't take high English scores or doesn't require high English scores, make sure that your statement of intent matches your level of English. Because if you have a 5.0 IELTS and a perfectly well-written, Harvard-bound statement of intent, that's going to cause a lot of red flags, and you're going to really get looked at and more than likely get denied. So yeah, statement of intent, it is important. It arguably is the most important part of the application, second to your transcripts. Because again, every university will evaluate, can they do well in the classroom? Do they have good grades? Do they have the English score? Do they have the test scores? But also, are they good personality or a good fit for the program? And that's where the statement of intent is important. Even if the university you're applying for doesn't require a statement of intent, honestly, I still highly recommend one. It's just like I said, like a cover letter when applying for a job. The job might not ask for a cover letter, but having one definitely sets you apart. So I hope these tips were helpful. And if you have any questions or need any further guidance, go ahead and type it in the comments below. We'll be reviewing those occasionally. We'll be making future content based around those largely, and more than happy to answer any questions, because ultimately we want you to be successful at university or college. And so we want you to be successful in your academic career. And part of that is getting admitted. So anything we can do to help, we're more than happy. So take care.